Meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Did everyone get a chance to sign in? The sign up sheet going around. Okay. Remember attendance, everyone is here.
I got it.
Everyone had a chance to look over tonight's agenda. Yes. Can I get a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting agenda.
Motion made by Connor, can I get a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Jordan. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next, the March 12th meeting minutes. Everybody had a chance to look over that? Changes that need to be made? I get a motion to approve the March 12th, 2025 meeting minutes.
I'll motion.
Motion made by Jordan, is there a second? Seconded by Dave. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next is the approval of the April 14th, 2025 joint meeting minutes. Glad you were here for it, so. Everybody had a chance to look that over.
Yep.
Is there a motion to approve the April 14th joint meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the April 14th joint meeting minutes.
Motion made by Jake. Can I get a second? Seconded by Dave. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. At this time, I will open it up to public comment on agenda items only. If you have a specific comment regarding the hearings, you can say whatever you want in the public comment as far as the agenda. But if you have something specific for the hearing, hold off till the hearing, because that will get recorded and passed on to the board. At this time, I'll go ahead and open public comment on agenda items only. Go ahead and close public comment. Zoning administrator update.
The month of April, there was 11614 Hickory, a home, 11766 Elmy Road, a storage building, 6205 Channel Drive, demolition of a home and put a new one up, at 10394 West Tamarack Road, a home, at 6150 James Drive, a garage addition. For violations at 7106 Cutler Road. I've been talking to the cleanup guy, and they're close to being able to get in there and clean it all up. You know, they're just, I think they're giving the guy one more chance to maybe get whatever he wants, and after that, it'll be cleaned up. At 11589 Juniper, still in violation. I'm gonna write a ticket out, take it to the courthouse tomorrow. Last one was issued January 12th this year. His fines are up to $785 at 6685 Hemlock. Storage of an RV. Last ticket he got was $2,900. signs are in for a cost of $750. And I didn't write the date down, but within a couple of weeks, I've been talking to the guy, he's gonna have it removed. And that's all.
Thank you. Board update, Dave?
There was a meeting 2 months ago we were all at. This last meeting on Monday, we approved the road contracts, we approved the hall rental agreement, and then the FOIA request form, we approved all.
Okay. Okay, we will move into the public hearings. We'll start with the first public hearing. This is gonna regard the accessory building height change in 3.11, change from 18 feet to 25 feet, and the removing of section 7.04, which was recodified in section 19.03. So I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. This is where you give us your input. Anybody? Okay. Go ahead and close the first public hearing. Public hearing 2, this is the, map rezoning project. Go ahead and open public hearing 2. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ron Buckle, 6124 Cutler, Cable Township. I just have a question as to why Lake Residential is on this new map. It's changed since your first master plan, which was all lakefront. I just wanna know why it includes properties that aren't in Honeymoon Heights, and also extends, well, from what I can tell, down Schmead Road to Vale, which is way out of the parameters of the Lake Residential district that was proposed.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
What is the reasoning of going from rural residential to like residential? Other than taxable value changes, what are the residents gonna see of this? Is there any benefits for us?
Make sure and give your name and your
Yeah,
location.
your name,
Oh,
please.
sorry, first time doing these. Adam Noyes, 6137 Chestnut Road.
Anyone else? Anyone at all? This is the time to speak on.
This doesn't include the commercial,
Yeah.
does it?
It's everything.
It's everything.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the whole
Okay, then,
map rezoning
I do,
project.
I am Alicia Bigler, I represent Henry L. Barnwell Trust, 9750 Edgar Road, Lakeview. And we have at least one parcel that's been listed, it says 524 feet of West Youngman Road, they wanna change to commercial. We are PA 116 ag, and will always be PA 116 ag, never will be developed. And I also have a question on another parcel that we own is on the other side of Youngman Road. According to your map up there, a little bit of our property is included, but it's not included in your descriptions. That's also PA 116 ag use, will never be commercial. I don't mind if you wanna do like the lots on the other side of 46 and everything else, but I would like all of the Henry L. Barnwell Trust parcels to be excluded. Because it's going to be ag use, always ag use, never commercial, and there's not really even enough room to build commercial on any of our land that's included anyways. The land that's on the other side of Youngman Road, there's a ditch that goes through there, there's swamp in there, there's not enough room to put a commercial building, let alone parking if you do commercial. So, I would like to stay ag use, PA 116, and not have that affected by making it commercial.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm Amanda Evanzo, I live at 11685 Cherry Drive. And we have a question, we've seen on there about camping and having it, so when someone comes to your residence and stays and camps, do we have to get permits? Cause we were wondering about that, we seen that in there.
This is, well,
We can answer it.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anyone else?
Jeff Bigler, Kato, I know Alicia mentioned it, but either your map is wrong or your description is wrong, on the east side of Young Road. So something needs to be corrected there, whether it's map or your description. Cause those lots are not that big on 46 on the south side.
Anyone else?
Sam Knopf, 9471 Wilcox Drive. Not on this listing whatsoever, but I did get the flyer, so I'm just here because I'm nosy. Curious on if I'm currently suburban residential, or if I'm rural residential, if that zoning is gonna change for me. And again, is there anything taxable that's gonna affect it?
Where'd you say you were at?
9471.
Got it. Anyone else? Anyone at all?
Jody Renard. I'm actually here on behalf of my mother and father-in-law. They own property 9315 West Howard City, Eckler Road, Lakeview. They are both actually in a nursing home, so we are responsible in taking care of the property at this time, my husband, and his sister who cannot be here. I'm wondering with them too also, that is gonna change them and what they are actually right now for their property, and if that's gonna change that into commercial for them instead of homestead, and how that's gonna affect us tax wise and all of that. Thank you.
Anyone else? We'll go ahead and close the second public hearing. Now we get into our, discussion on the resolutions. Let's start with, nothing to said about the accessory building height or the changes in text, so I think we ought to just jump right into the mapping. Right. Now, many people had questions on the taxes. Right, this will not change the taxes, correct?
The current estimated value is what it said, that's through, other departments, so
That's
this is
the-
basically to follow our master plan. The lakefront, and the question was asked about lakefront residential, what does this change? I have no information as far as it's gonna change your taxes. What it does do is allow some different setback requirements for buildings, because, Town Line Lake being smaller lots, our current caused some issues for, I mean, and there's not a lot of empty lots left on Town Lane, but if someone were to buy one, their setback requirements are different in lakefront residential than they would be in rural residential. So that's one difference that I know that we've made for that, because it's been an issue with not having enough enough clearances between buildings, so that is one difference.
And I think to piggyback off that, one, somebody asked about how we extended lakefront, or
lake residential, you know, beyond just what was lake frontage. And the reason for that was because there's a lot of small lots that are not on the lake, but they're still very small lots because of your proximity to the lake. So we were mostly trying to be considerate of setbacks for those people too, and we were trying to be consistent.
And the reason we went around, made everything around the lake residential, so it was uniform, so it was one, so it was consistent.
Yeah, we were trying to make it even for everybody that was close to the lake, so.
Camping question.
That, can you answer that? This is about map rezoning, so, questions regarding camping, I don't know that we can answer that in this public hearing. This is about just different zones that are being.
It was on the
That's
one,
in the zoning information about
Yeah.
camping.
yeah, it's,
I'll say, I mean, there's always been a 14-day in there, and there's come in, requesting that there's no camping, something done on it, and there's no way to police it. So we come back and left the 14-day, but you need to get a permit from Dave, and then you still have 14 days, but on the permit, you need to pick the 14 days of the year. You can do it once, or you can pay the permit fee every time. I mean, do one permit for the whole year, pick what days you got, and then Dave has a copy. Otherwise, if you don't know, you can do one and then come back for another permit is how. Now, the permit fee has not been set yet. That's based, the township board has to do that. And, what else am I missing? I mean, yeah, after your 14 days are up, then you cannot, if you're zoned lake, I mean, it was lake residential, and then the township board changed it to lake zoning, so that's what they took the residential out of it, for the clarification. That's what but yes, now, if this all passes tonight and goes through, then I believe the township board is gonna meet
19.
very shortly to, get this approved, because we know Memorial Day is coming up, and we have to figure out have to pass it and figure out a fee. So, that way people aren't hanging on. We'll say that for the township board. Else I missed, I mean, the camping was a big.
No, I think you covered it.
I think you answered Sam's question for suburban residential, that's why the lot is smaller, you can do more on the suburban than you can rural residential, that's what we put in there. That's why we changed in, like what's
On Wilcox,
Wilcox,
yeah, so, yeah, we changed that to suburban residential, cause to ease up the setbacks.
But was that already, since I didn't get a letter? I guess it'd be on the
He
question.
was,
You're really close, Sam.
right, he was rural
Yeah,
residential.
I think you're rural, I think you're rural, and that's what we changed it, 'cause I was rural and it changed it.
Yeah, and that was just to make it consistent too, like, for example, I live on Hayden, and for some reason I was rural residential, but then Wilcox was suburban, which doesn't make a lot of sense, so.
Yes, now,
I'm gonna,
Alicia Baker.
I think
I'll-
Bigler and Bernard asked about the commercial.
I'm gonna say, for the Alicia commercial side, for the ag, I know where she's standing. And I agree that where they're at, like 524 feet, you got county drain that goes through there. You got a setback from that, and then it's wet beyond that, so you're talking maybe a couple hundred feet that would be buildable. And the problem with that is there's tile lines that all come back to the county ditch, so you wouldn't be able to build on it, so there's not enough room there to ever make that commercial, even if it wasn't zoned ag.
Is that the east and west? of your
Both,
one?
Yeah,
both
they come
sides.
right through both lots.
Yeah, yeah, it goes through, it goes right behind the funeral
Goes
home.
through all three, really. Vernal Lake is on the opposite corners,
Yeah.
where that's not affected by the county drains.
Right, so the one east of Youngman, that's true,
Yep, and the west side.
on the west side.
And then as far as Jody's question, I mean, that's right next to Steeplechase.
Yep.
So, I mean, as far as taxation, from what I understand, it's not changing it, it'd be better if, I mean, if they ever wanna sell it, it would be worth, my book would be worth more being commercial than it would rural residential if they, you know, I don't know, that's just my personal opinion.
I think we heard that from at least one realtor,
Yeah.
that even that being zoned increases your value.
I mean, I know it's residential now with a house, but I mean, you're right next to the steeple tree, so you gotta, I mean, if they wanna expand, that's all. But, I mean, if somebody wants to live there the rest of it, I don't, and I might be wrong, but from what I understand, it's taxation wise, I did text Andy and ask him, he said, I just asked him, the people pay more on their taxes for commercial versus ag. He said, yeah, they pay the 18 mil school operating, agriculture does not. And that's all that he texted me, so that would be the only difference, is they pay the school operating.
So they're not able to
David,
homestead it.
I'd like to.
Okay, Brandy, come up.
I'm the
Brandy.
township supervisor and I've kind of gone back and forth with the attorney and stuff. Your zoning has no effect on your taxes, okay? If your tax bill says residential improved or ag improved, right now, that's what it will stay, whether this gets rezoned or not. You got two separate things. You've got zoning, which writes the rules that can be done, or uses, and then you have your tax class, which is what it's being used for. Now, if you change it and put a commercial building on a property, that would change your tax class, but zoning and tax are two different things. And then I also do wanna just clarify that, the property that's being mentioned along Youngman Road, that's actually rural residential, cause that goes to Edgar Road. So I just wanna be clear that when we're saying, oh, it's ag, that it's actually in the rural residential district, in the yellow on the map. And then the other thing that the attorney did also confirm is that would have no impact on PA 116. So just want to make those little clarifications.
Thanks, Brandy.
Thank you.
I know we had that PA 116 question last time,
Yeah, so
so I'm glad we
that was mine.
glad to know that.
Whole thing.
So what do we think on that, the attorney says there's no effect at all, correct?
Unless
The
you
attorney
move it.
said that there's no impact on your taxes.
On the
which
taxes,
is-
correct.
Right, you gotta think zoning and tax assessing are two different things.
I'm still stuck on it. I know how I would feel if I owned it, but I wouldn't want it. Just thinking that it could be commercial, that's my feelings, thoughts. Farmland, I mean, leave it as it is, rural residential, not change it to commercial, I mean, then we won't be changing. Yes.
Both sides.
Yes.
That would be a problem. I mean, it takes off less commercial off our thing, but it's not used as now
And make sure the description's right, as Jeff said, make sure.
Yeah. Let's make it match.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're,
Yeah, should we clarify with Jeff what he meant by that, with the whole, I was curious about that lots not being that big, I don't know what he was referencing.
On
You're talking
the
about-
east side of Youngman Road, you have the lots along 46, they're like 300 or 350 feet.
Mhm.
Back.
Deep.
Back from the middle of 46, and your map comes way this side of the county drain. So either your descriptions aren't right, or your map's not right, something needs to be
See what I
corrected.
mean?
But isn't that because, didn't we just say it was a certain number of feet regardless of what the lot size was? Cause I remember talking about that on the north side of 46, that it was, we weren't doing it by the lot, we were doing it by the amount of feet. So I could've sworn we talked about that last
But in
time.
your description, you didn't include any of the,
Yeah,
so that's I'm saying either your description's wrong or your map's wrong, one of them, because you didn't, in your description, you didn't put any of the parcel numbers.
so like, for example,
Okay.
parcel 004-016-001-40 was not included in your description, but it's highlighted on the map.
So two of them.
Can you point, Alicia, on the map up there where you're talking, or can somebody, just so we can.
It'd be on the east side.
Yeah, or I
right?
actually, I have, you wanna see
Sure,
what I
yeah,
have?
sure.
Yeah, you can show us.
I have a couple of different ones that I printed off.
It'd be like where Dwayne Stephen lives, and then beyond, I mean, I know what she's talking about, but
Yeah.
for ag one, we
Cause
have.
like, here's where all the lots are, and then you own right here, and then
Mhm.
all this, and then you own this.
Mhm.
But your
There's
map,
line, there's like right here.
yeah, your red line is right in there, but look, like your letter you sent, you didn't include that parcel. Cause I went through and looked up all these parcels, the one on the other side of the road was included, but not this, but according to your red line, this one should have been included. Yep. It's not very much, but it is.
It needs to be addressed.
So I guess we should make that line the parcel thing, not the setback distance if the lot line doesn't.
Yeah,
match.
and I agree.
But then do we just keep it on, we keep these lots here and take both parcels, east and west side of, off,
What, and
and leave it rural?
yeah, leave it as it was.
I don't have zero issue with that. I mean,
I'm fine with that.
I don't have a problem, because that is all swamp.
Trying to keep it,
You're
trying
not,
to
you're
keep it
not building
consistent.
anything on it.
Yeah.
Just to clarify again also, guys, so the striped, if it's striped, on the map, that is, the 2001 zoning overlay. So that would mean it did not get noticed if it was in the, it was considered that that was already zoned commercial based on the 2001 zoning map.
Oh,
So if we're
okay.
talking anything striped, just remember to keep that in mind, that was
Okay.
not part of tonight's hearing. If it's solid, like the parcel west, that is up for rezoning.
Okay.
But if there's a, you know, a question about the map, then that, I guess the striped would have to be dealt with different at a later date, probably.
Okay. So the west side of the other one, would be what we're talking about
Well,
tonight.
we can talk about the ones and the others. Cause that, I mean, that, yeah, 'cause they can build definitely on the north side of the ditch. On the east side. Okay. So we need to make that.
What's the actual question?
To make the motion to, and I believe, am I right, Joe, to make a motion to remove the west side of Wingman Road and south of 46 to Henry Burnwell, 524 feet. Remove that from commercial and leave it rural residential as it is. Yeah, I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Dave to remove, the west side of Youngman Road, take it out of, and south of, 46. Take it from commercial to,
Leave it rural residential.
leave it, well, yes, leave it rural residential.
Randy, do we need,
I'm sorry.
can we make a change?
There's a motion to remove that
Yes.
west side. Why don't I just quickly contact the
Yep.
township attorney, to make sure that that's something that can be done here, as far as, it is a kind of an isolated parcel, so it wasn't part of that contiguous lineup, but let's get her on the phone and
Okay.
I'll put her on speaker so you guys can hear. Get her on the phone and I'll put her on speaker so you can ask the question. Let me shoot her a text, and if you guys wanna continue, let's just hold that motion for right now. She said that she would be on standby if we needed her, so let me continue to try to get hold of her.
What other questions? Are there any other questions that we missed? Any questions?
I just have a little bit more clarification on this, lake residential. You had said that, it's because you're trying to include residences and properties that are adjacent or close to the lake. But again, my question is, you're exceeding way past Huntington Heights, going towards, Vale Road, and I'm just I'm just curious, because I wanna know, is there, a plan that maybe we're not aware of, or somebody's thinking of, that maybe bringing sewer that way would help if these were all lake residential lots? Cause I'm all for keeping the lake clean and that, I just wanna know if we could get more clarification as to why you would take it all the way off Schmid Road to Vale and call it lake residential.
I remember we talked about it, I just.
Because the lots, cause all them lots were 0.23 acres or smaller.
It was mostly cause of the
Only
lots.
on that side of the road. And it's back, it's.
Yeah.
It was based solely off the lot size.
Well, I know we were trying our best to look at like the old maps and,
Well, and it's, I think that was down the line of, when we were looking at it, it kind of, it was very evenly split lots, and it never, like, so where did we stop? Do you stop at the curb, do you stop at the first two lots past? And then we just said, as long as those lots are the same size, we would just continue.
Honeymoon Heights goes to Bacchus, right?
Yeah,
It takes Schmid Road to Bacchus.
yeah,
that might be why then.
maybe, cause their charter goes to Bacchus?
Yes.
That could have been it too, on the old map too.
I mean, the intent was to try to keep
You're matching
all
it.
of Honeymoon Heights as the same district.
The same with the ones going north.
That was a small lot.
Right, yeah, that's why it goes north all the way too. That's probably it then.
Any other questions?
That's what I had written down.
Hey Leslie. I'm gonna put you, on speakerphone for the planning commission. They have a question, they have, wanted to be a non-contiguous parcel that, they're considering removing. So I'm gonna put you on speaker right now, and Joe is our chairman.
Hey Leslie, how are you?
Good, how are you? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you just fine. Yes, so there is, a lot that was changed to commercial residential, proposed to be changed to commercial residential. The owners would like to remain, rural residential. Can we,
It's farm ground.
it's farm ground, it's got tile in it.
Would it result in, are all the surrounding parcels proposed to be, rezoned to the, commercial residential as well? Would it be like an island, a
No,
parcel by itself?
so there's some parcels around it that, were commercial before, that have been commercial.
They're north of.
And then, to the south and west, there's rural residential, and that's been rural residential.
This is
Okay,
really,
and it's proposed to stay that way?
That's what, yeah, that's the motion was.
Yes, proposed to
Okay.
keep it, rural residential, not change it to, commercial.
Perfect, yeah, I'm fine with keeping it as long as it wouldn't create like an island where that's like
Right.
the only
No.
single
No.
parcel by itself in the middle of a, entirely commercial zone. If it's on an outskirt and it otherwise neighbors other rural residential properties that would be, similar in terms of use, then I don't have a problem with the,
Okay.
planning commission recommending keeping that the same, excluding it from the proposed rezoning.
Okay, yeah, it won't make an island, it won't do, it.
this is basically the end of the
It's-
commercial zone.
Yeah, it's
is where
right
it
at the
would
end
be.
of commercial. And not everything around it is,
It's currently used as, residential property, I assume.
it's farmland.
Oh, farm, got it,
Yeah.
okay, yep.
We're
Yep,
good
I
then?
don't have any concerns with that, and even if you did rezone it, it would, be grandfathered in, but if it's, as long as it's not part of, within a commercial zone entirely, and it would be an outlier, then you can keep it the way it is, cause it would be consistent with other neighboring properties.
Okay,
Alright,
everybody like it?
sounds good to me.
Alrighty. Hey,
Thanks, Leslie.
Yeah, thank you, Leslie.
Any other questions or concerns?
I don't think so, that was,
that was
that was
us.
the only one.
The other one, Brandy, do we have, I got one, the one that's in the overlay, you said, Brandy, we couldn't talk about that tonight, then what's on the east side? what you're, how you're
yeah,
saying.
I mean,
Because
you
it
can-
had to
you
be another.
yeah, there's a question of one that's currently in the overlay that was not part of the public hearing.
Okay, I think we're all set, Leslie, thank you.
Great, no problem. Let me know if you guys have any other questions. Happy to help you out in any way I can.
Okay, sounds
Thank
good,
you.
thank you.
Thanks, have a great night.
Yep, you too.
Thanks.
Okay.
Guess that's all done.
Motion's on the table?
Motion made by Dave to leave that, parcel rural residential. Is there a second? I'll second. Seconded by Jake. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, I think if there's anything else we need to discuss, I'm gonna go ahead and move to adopting the resolutions. Anything anybody wants to discuss?
I don't have anything.
Oh, let's start. Let's start with the text amendments. I'll make a motion to adopt resolution, changing the accessory building height in 3-11 from, 18 feet to 25 feet, and removing of section 7.04 and recodifying it in, section 19.03.
I'll second the motion.
Second made by Quantum. Any further discussion? I'll do a roll call vote. Jake?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Quantum?
Yes.
Dave? Yes. I will vote yes. Motion carried. Next we'll move on to the next one will be rezone property from rural residential to lake residential on Town Line Lake, and ag residential to lake residential on Lake Forest. I'll make the motion. Does anybody wanna make the motion? I'll make the motion to adopt the resolution changing, rural residential to lake residential on Town Line Lake, and ag residential to lake residential on Lake Forest. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Jake. Any further discussion?
Can I just ask, does this encompass all of our changes, or just the ones you just listed, are there multiple?
Just the ones so this is just for Town Line and Forest.
Oh, okay. That was on my question.
Any more discussion? Roll call vote. Jake?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Lana?
Yes.
Dave? Yes. I will vote yes. Motion passed. Okay, next we move on to, the changing of rural residential to commercial in, this would be the east side of 46.
He said.
Or is it 91 on
Yeah,
the
yeah. East side, and
east side of 91?
and then north, you gotta do the north side.
And the north, yes, and the north, yes, north and south side of 46, up to Fitzner. I'll go ahead and make the motion to adopt the resolution. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Seconded by Kwana. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Jake?
Yes.
Dave?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah, Dave.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Jordan?
Yes.
Kwana?
Yes.
I will vote yes. Motion passed. Next resolution is changing of properties labeled rural residential to suburban residential. And this would be the west side of 91, changing properties from rural residential to suburban. And we will be leaving out, the parcel on Youngman Road will not be changed to commercial. That will be left as rural residential. I can make a motion to adopt the resolution.
I'll make the motion to adopt the resolution with the change to Youngman, parcel on Youngman.
Is there a second? Seconded by Dave. Any further discussion?
That one or two parcels we're leaving out, Joe, just the one?
One. Yeah, just the one. That's not that one.
Okay, alright.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay. Roll call vote. Jake?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Kwan?
Yes.
Dave? Yes. I will vote yes. Motion passed. Okay. Okay, moving on to old business, short-term rentals. I have some examples of some ordinances here. This is from, you guys have the copies that I gave you last time.
And you,
Is Belvedere Township. That's a new one. Now I've got a couple more. These are the applications that go with it. It is Sydney Township ordinance.
email. Sydney's.
Maple Valley.
policies that we'd like to go off of, base our ordinance off of.
They have a percentage of deeded access that could be used. But that was, yeah, that one stands out. I don't know if that's a thing that people would be interested in here, or being specifically similar, it seemed like that, where that. It's
Number
on
two, page 3.
It's just some of the extra. I'm not saying that, and it just, that one stood out to me for, as far as Sydney, where the other two were kind of very, and then I've read some others from other areas of Michigan, they're all pretty standard to the first two. That's the first of a percentage thing I've ever seen for restriction. No, I think it's for an overall, it's so not more than 10% of all your lakefront in your area can be used as.
So we're not full of just short-term rental.
Right, yeah, because it still keeps some of the property to. I don't know if that's even, it just, that was one, always, it's not that I'm in support of it, it's just something that stood out to me on theirs.
I think you'd run into a legal problem there,
I really-
because if Joe gets to rent his house, but I can't rent mine because he's first, I don't know if the law's gonna
Right.
respect that too. I don't know.
It just raised some flags in my mind when I read that.
I would say that's more onerous.
It's not the Sydney, it's
Onerous,
Sydney 2, subsection B.
Okay.
That, that's what you said, that's.
I mean, I would just say whichever way we go, I think these need to have the balance of respecting the neighbors while also not being overly burdensome. We don't need Dave or whoever we appoint doing a 25-point inspection for each of these properties. I mean, some of these, it seems more overly strict than what we would ask of any lakefront owner. Now, I get it, I guess if you're an owner, you have a few more rights, but a few of these regulations are pretty strict, so.
I agree with you there, like, to regulate the people trying to bring business here, it's more strict than the people that actually live here, there should be some cohesive between the two.
Well, like, for example, now on one hand, obviously, as someone who grew up on a lake, I understand you don't want your rental neighbors next door up till 3 AM, but like with Sydney having quiet hours at 10 PM, well, I can guarantee you, we weren't being quiet at 10 PM on a July Saturday, that just wasn't happening, so.
My chickens aren't, I can't control that.
Right, yeah, so I wouldn't
Yeah.
I wouldn't want us to do anything like that, and, yeah, but, I mean, they're good things to go off of, and we can combine parts of different ones if we need to.
Well, like this one, yeah, here's another one, it's still in Sydney's, I believe. Yeah. Bedrooms have 2 paths of egress. It's not even a state requirement. Unless your first path is the way that you got in, but that's not considered an egress for fire safety.
The one thing I will is that I did like off Sydney, maybe it's on all of them, but I remember when they did theirs, they talked about, because they have such small roads on their lakes, the whole parking thing. I think that is one good thing to think about, cause like I think of like on town line, like on Cutler, there is no extra parking, you don't want people parking in the street, obviously, so. There's a couple things like that that make sense, but yeah, some of it, I would pass on.
I think we can definitely take some of this and kind of draft one up and then take some feedback for sure, because it's not just about what we think. The more information we have, the better.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll probably get input from people I know, I forget his name, I apologize, I didn't see him out there, but one of the owners came and talked to us and had good discussion, and, yep, and any, obviously, residents can come to a public hearing and tell us any concerns, so.
So where do you guys wanna start? Get at least a start, I think we've agreed. I think we don't want too crazy, but we also don't want to restrict people renting where they can't really do anything. start with the purpose.
I mean, yeah, I would just say, you know, purpose as I see it is you want to encourage this, cause it does bring a ton of money into town, and that's very good. And frankly, as long as the renters are being respectful in terms of, you know, noise in the middle of the night, you know, they're not leaving dogs unattended, things like that, I mean.
All three of these examples have a very similar purpose. I think I would say that Sydney's is a little bit more, the second paragraph goes into what you were just discussing as far as bringing benefits to the community, creating concerns surrounding issues of traffic, parking, congestion, litter, noise. It's establishing the definitions, which we would add definitions to our main part of our ordinance at the start, so we can always refer back to that, so. I'm sorry, the other things that I was referring to, the two paragraphs.
Oh, yeah.
The first line up, Belvedere is a good one.
Yeah, no, I like that too. Want me to read it and see, or do you guys just wanna read it and they can discuss any changes we would wanna make to it, or anything we wanna add to
I
it?
think it now will just be a rough, simple
Yeah,
paragraph, which
yeah.
we can always change, but
Yeah.
I do like Belvedere's wording.
Okay. So are we good with sticking with the purpose? Something that kind of mirrors Belvedere.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Purpose, yeah, no, you're consistent.
Permitted uses, such way,
So that won't really apply to that. I guess when we add this in, we'll have to have all of our other districts that it's allowed to refer that this will now be a permitted use in that zoning district.
True, yes.
So,
And I assume we're allowing it in all of them, right? I mean, even though it'll probably be a lake thing, I mean.
it mainly is, but I mean,
Right.
they're everywhere.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I don't think that'd be restrictive, just,
Right.
we don't have to define it here where it's gonna be allowed, because we'll define that in each individual subsection of our
Okay.
ordinance, so. but- Just trying to keep it cohesive with what we have, yeah. We got purpose and then scope, which. I think that's pretty. That's true. Description and purpose, permitted uses, but this is this isn't a zoning thing, so I would think that we would go into scope after purpose. And then definitions, which would be, we're not making this a zoning district by any means, we're making it a defined use, a defined permitted use.
Mhm.
And I don't, where is that, we have a section for that. General provisions, chapter 3.
We'll see that in the
General provisions is saying. Chapter 12. That's where we would put this under would be.
I don't think it would be special land use, it would be a
I'm trying to find some.
permitted use in any district or.
There's not a, we have permitted uses under each zoning district. So we could list short-term rentals as a permitted use, but where do we put its definition in the ordinance? Well, just cohesive with the rest of our ordinance. They've got these written up like it's its own, like it's a section.
I guess I'm confused how other townships done it, do they not?
Where
write
did
it?
they add it in? I guess kinda
Well, did
changes how
they-
you format it.
But did they just write it as a separate ordinance? I mean, is there anything stopping us from doing that? I'm confused.
Uses. I mean, that's, it's not a special use, it's not a non-conforming use, it's just a permitted use, and we don't have a permitted use section by itself, we have permitted use in every zoning district. I guess that would be the question, where would we add it? I guess just under general provisions, but then it would be written in a little different format, cause it has a purpose, it has a scope, and then it has what rules we're gonna put attached to it.
I mean, can't you just make it its own chapter? Are we allowed to do that?
Yeah.
Is that easier?
I think so.
Just say chapter 19, short-term rentals,
Yeah.
then you don't have to
Yeah, we don't have to,
fiddle with the rest of it.
and then we write it like it was its own zoning district in that format, and then add it to every other zoning district's permitted uses.
Yeah, just reference it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would work.
Purpose, now next would be definitions, right?
Right, which I think, like, Maple Valley went down and defined a lot of things that I think are already in our definitions as far as like owner and township and bedroom.
Person,
Yeah.
township.
I guess we'd have to put in the definition of the word that we're using in the ordinance, would be a short-term rental, how we define that. I seen some of them saying anything more than 2 but less than 29, which gives you a minimum and a maximum.
That makes the most sense to me. Cause anything 30 or over, you're just thinking it's a regular rental unit at that point, and you certainly don't wanna accidentally encompass people renting monthly.
If they wanna pay for it though.
It happens, it does happen, yeah.
I mean, you could have gotten a lot cheaper if you found a rental, but
Yeah.
I don't know. That would be definite for information from.
I guess I think of it as like, obviously the main goal here is to, make sure, let's just call a spade, the party animals that are here for 5 days or a weekend or whatever, making sure they're being good neighbors. If you're renting property for more than 29 days, you're effectively living there, and all the general rules of noise and whatnot are, wouldn't that just end up applying to you generally anyway, so?
So I feel like the general rules that apply now, whether you're renting it for short-term or living it full-time, that should be at least the baseline rules.
Sure, yeah.
And then anything that we would say, okay, because it's a short-term rental, a little bit more strict upon these requirements.
Yeah.
So. So we would wanna define short-term rental. Yeah, I think
terms of Belvedere's ordinance, if we find theirs acceptable and can pass something close, it's probably for the best considering we share our biggest lake with them. And you would, I mean, at least you'd want it to be consistent.
Somewhat, especially when you've got adjacent properties out there.
Right, if you're 3 houses that way and we have vastly different rules, I mean, we'd get it, cause we live here, but not everyone would make it, see that.
No, and that's also part of it too, any guidelines have to be common sense guidelines, and somebody that's not from here, cause that's exactly who they're tracking, and then, yeah, if there's some major things, then I guess it would be on the owners to say, hey, here's the printed rules of, things to follow, like here. But, that would be weird, hey, how come they're letting off fireworks and we can't, or,
Well, especially like on the north side of town, I couldn't even tell you where the exact, I know on the south side it's Lake Road, but it's not so obvious on the north side. And no one who isn't local would know that on the south side either.
I guess, I don't disagree with you as far as, let's use Belvedere's as a more solid guideline for us, just for cohesive with our neighborhood.
Theirs seems a little simpler too, which I like.
We already take the purpose, and I guess their amendment, I don't know what amendments to 21 is, that's their zoning.
Sure, that's their number, yeah.
But, so that, I mean, that's defining a short-term rental subletting a single family dwelling in conservation for not more than 27 nights. However, the following shall not be considered short-term rentals: bed and breakfast establishments, motels, resorts, campgrounds, transitional houses. Yeah, so that's good to put in there, I'm saying we have a lot, but if you make the first paragraph your definition, then it would exclude a lot of other possible businesses in the area, or the charitable halfway adult foster care homes. How do I turn this thing down?
So you're saying keep that in there, though?
Yeah,
Shall not be considered short-term rentals, bed and breakfast establishments, hotels, resorts, campgrounds.
Yeah, I like it.
So that would be our definition of short-term rental.
Short-term rental.
I don't think, do we need to define rent or rental in a single family? Yeah, I think we already have
Yeah.
those definitions in our ordinance.
Lot rents and.
Yeah.
Rent or rental.
It says, definition for single family dwelling owner, do we have a definition for that, do we need to?
We don't have a definition for rent or rental. Single ownership. Not for, so maybe that's why it's in there, because we don't have a single family. And we refer to that a lot in other parts of our ordinance.
Are we good with that definition then?
Yeah, or, like you said, this is all subject to change if we get.
Yeah. Permission, provision, or offering possession or occupancy of a single family dwelling, with some type of remuneration paid to the owner for a period of time to a person who is not the owner pursuant to written or verbal agreement. Everybody like that definition? Okay with that?
So is that something we're gonna keep in the short term, or is that what we're gonna use in
Well, we're
section
gonna,
2?
I think we're looking at to add these just into our chapter 2 definitions. So this written will refer to it, but like I said, we don't have single family dwelling, which I know is referred to in other sections of our ordinance now. It's, should be defined anyway, with rent and rental. Immediate negative.
Any other definitions?
Yeah.
You wanna add?
Yeah, they go a little crazy in Maple Valleys. So. I think we can skip that, because it's just establishing addition of section 10.2. That's just, this hereby added by the last recommendation, but yeah, we're gonna add this into section 13 at the end of our ordinance. We don't need to put a sentence in there saying why we're doing it, or, we already had that, that's in the purpose, so.
Okay, so we got rental definition and short-term rental definitions. What else? What do you guys think?
That's, leave it at that for now until we come up with some more.
Okay, so can move on from there. This goes to registration. Annual registration required. All short-term rentals must be registered with the township. No single-family dwelling may be used as or advertised for a short-term rental unless registered in accordance with this ordinance. Application to register a short-term rental, the owner shall satisfy the following requirements.
Looking at, I'm not sure what the thought process behind the name, address, telephone number of the owner, obviously without dwelling to be used. And then the 45 mile or 1 hour, I mean.
Gotta be honest, I think that's a little restrictive.
I think it's not possible, even if you had okay, let's say if you live more than 45, you need a local agent, okay, who's your local agent, one of the neighbors?
Right.
Or what if they're on vacation?
No. I guess a lot of this comes back to, like, if it's a real problem, that's what the police are for.
Well, and every verbal Airbnb agreement has their own agreement for if there's an issue that involves.
Yeah, you're toast
that
anyway.
you don't need, I mean, owners aren't running to their house, I mean, maybe, if you
No.
live close to address concerns, but. Yeah, I think that's, I don't mind this is some of the information we'll need, we need to obviously name, number, address, and then the address of the property. And then, okay, number of bedrooms, that's just details of the property.
To me, I really don't see the need for, any of the whole, they live this close, because I think in all these, they have provisions about, hey, if there's multiple problems at your property, we're gonna revoke your license anyway, so to me, it's like,
Right.
well, that's how you
Well,
address it.
the whole system works off of, I have good property,
Right.
I make sure that my renters are good renters,
Mhm.
and if you have bad reviews as a renter, you don't get approved, and
Oh,
if you have
yeah.
bad property, people don't rent from you.
Yep.
It's, I've used the system a few times on vacation, and it's always been nothing but cordial, because you don't want bad interactions, you don't want bad reviews, you don't want people having complaints, you want to
Absolutely.
take care of it before reviews start. So, yeah, I think this is, I mean, an investor that lives more than 45 miles away would look at that and go, well, okay, I guess I'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, I wouldn't want anything like that in here.
So.
If they're a problem, we'll revoke their license.
So the
Yeah.
first sentence of part A is good.
Yep.
Everything on part B, I guess that in parentheses, plus additional, if there's more than one single family dwelling, I don't know if that would even be.
Can't imagine what that would apply to, but.
No, so.
Number of bedrooms in single family dwellings, used as a short-term rental.
I don't think so either, I mean, they.
I'm good.
Cross out C.
Yep.
That's all part of their listing and their, I mean, cause I know there are some places that like, okay, you get the full use of this area, but this one room is the housekeeper's room, we keep it locked. That's between, that's not our, I mean.
Not my problem. For D, I don't even think they have, I mean.
No,
like, I
it's
just-
all agreements on, but I mean, you could get copies of it if we wanted, but I think it's all standard.
Yeah, I mean, I just did an Airbnb 2 weeks ago and I didn't sign a rental agreement for it. I checked some box, but.
But you did.
I know, well, that's what I mean.
But
is
yeah,
that
it's.
It wasn't anything specific to, yeah. Are we taking that out?
Yeah.
Or do we say as requested? Like,
Well,
As requested by
that's
who?
the next one, that's F, other such other information as the township board deems appropriate, so there's.
Fair.
If we have some people coming here going, well, what's the rental agreement, they're doing this, okay, now we need to see your rental agreement to see what's going on,
I like F.
Yep.
so.
Good question though. Wait, what, did we say anything about E or?
I think that's, single family use should be a client, I mean, do we need to say that, that's the whole purpose of this.
Yeah,
And it seems redundant that we're
it
right.
seems very redundant.
And then I would put the word such on F and say other information as the township board deems appropriate.
Yep.
Cross out most of that.
No.
Well, it.
We said we were gonna make it simple.
I mean,
so-
you need to know who
Yeah.
owns it, where they live, and a number, you need to know what the property
Yeah.
is, and if we need more information.
Good move. Two is just kind of a standard, you gotta register obviously.
Yep.
I don't have a problem with it.
Short-term rental regulations.
I never really thought about A, but that seems pretty.
It doesn't seem like a huge requirement.
No, but it seems like a great requirement considering if something were to happen.
Right.
You're not from here, what's the evidence, is the first thing you're gonna forget, where did we rent?
Go right to it, so
Yep.
keep A. Maximum occupancy. Maximum occupancy. Single-family dwelling unit of the short-term rental shall be as follows. Maximum.
I have a thought on one, which jumps off to me is that I would think that should say 2 occupants per bed.
I think get rid of one and just have 2 occupants per bedroom plus an additional 2 per finished story. Cause you can always crash on a pull-out couch or.
Well, the only thing I was gonna say about the bedroom part, is because there's a lot of bedrooms at these places, I don't know if they're here, but you can do them where you have, say, 2 full-size beds with usually 4 people in there.
Well, and I was thinking about, what are we considering an occupant? I mean, a lot of people vacation, I'm one of them that my minor children sometimes sleep on the floor next to the bed.
Right.
Not because they don't have another bed, just that's where they prefer. So. I think just get rid of all the numbers and just say, as long as they're meeting occupancy for the Michigan Construction Code.
I love that.
Or subject to any other local, state, or federal requirements, so if you have a 3-bedroom house and you have 40 people in there, that's clearly a violation.
Right, yeah.
But I mean, some houses can hold more than 12.
Yeah. I like what you're saying, just Michigan Construction Code.
So we'll keep maximum occupancy in a single-family dwelling used as a short-term rental shall not exceed,
The applicable egress requirements for occupancy in the Michigan Construction Code, subject to any other, yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Good with that.
too, sorry, or do we take that out?
I don't think we changed that.
Okay.
Two seems.
And I guess it's 1.5 times the construction code,
I guess it's useful if they have visitors, and it's useful for not going above construction code, which would be a weird thing to.
I like part of that too, ties in with the parking on the street and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we'll address, but.
I mean, the reality is that's gonna resolve itself, if they're having some 40-person ranger on one lot, you know, that's gonna probably create some problems, but.
Well, maybe we'll get some charter bus companies.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Shuttle them in.
You know.
You can't park on the street, so we offer a good service. I'm not in disagreement with number two, just that we might wanna clean up some of the wording, I'm not sure where, how, that might be a legal question when it comes up for Leslie.
Okay, so when I come back to that one, then.
Yeah, cause 1 and 2 are kind of together, there might be a way to word it all as one.
Yeah.
Just, instead of B maximum occupancy, then subsection 1 and 2, just the B maximum occupancy, and then what we want it to define as.
To C then, smoke detectors and carbon monoxide devices, single-family dwellings used as short-term rentals must possess operational smoke detectors in each bedroom, which must be tested at least every 90 days to ensure that they are properly functioning. At least one operational and approved carbon monoxide device of the type prescribed in MCL 125.1504 on each floor, which must be tested at least every 90 days to ensure proper functioning.
Sounds good to me.
Seems pretty.
Kind of goes along with that,
Yeah.
posting of the address for
Yep.
emergency purposes.
D, insurance, single-family dwellings used as short-term rentals must be insured by a comprehensive rental dwelling insurance policy, coverage of at least 1 million. 1 million. The owner shall provide to the township confirmation of the existence of the insurance each time the short-term rental is registered with the township.
Is that a lot? I have no idea.
That's pretty standard.
Is it? Okay.
It's actually kind of in the middle now.
Okay. So we good with it?
Good.
Boy, section 8, give them the whole binder.
Yeah.
Here's some reading material for your vacation.
You have a QR code with it.
Right here.
And the test at the end of the
Pass the test before you get the key. Wow.
I don't know, doesn't that seem unnecessary?
I mean, that's kind of, I guess I never traveled and been like, oh, I better follow every rule in the ordinance, but, I mean, I guess if I got arrested and they're like, yeah, you're in violation, I'd be like, oh, crap.
Is our whole ordinance online?
Yes.
Yes.
What if we just say they just have to provide their, hey, please review the.
Yeah, there's always a book that you could open, and here's where you're at.
The township regulation, they're online at this website.
So if they're available and they don't read them, then it's no different than, just because you didn't know the law doesn't mean you didn't violate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I would love to hear the percentage of people that show up to the rental and are like, hold on, and read it.
if it's a rainy weekend, you might have nothing better to do.
Before you open that beer. So, can we change that to say a link to the online listing? My phrasing is poor, but
I guess I wouldn't say link, I would say
information on how to access.
to access the
Any
township
further
board.
information.
Yeah, I would say information,
It can be found on the Keto Township
yeah.
website.
And then the owners can decide if they wanted to do hyperlink or just that
Yeah, yeah.
information, just, we would say, hey, just make sure that they have access to it.
Yep.
I think number 2 is obviously required.
Yeah.
If they don't have a way to put their trash away, they will throw it in the yard. And that doesn't have to do with them being renters, or it just has to do with them being people.
You guys wanna keep going, or? Which spot you wanna, think you wanna leave off, or?
If we make it to C,
Yeah.
we can stop there.
Let's make it C.
Okay.
Cause we're at water safety information, I guess that would be pertaining if there was a hot tub, a pool, or lake access.
Sure, that's just
And
standard.
I think there's already state code that requires certain things, like if you have a dock, you gotta have a warning sign, if you have, or it's already in your agreement with whoever the renter requires, there's a hot tub, okay, there's a risk of drowning, blah, 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 all of that, I think that's already kind of covered, but would we keep it listed just as water safety information?
I say that comes it because if you're running something and you don't have that up anyway, you're asking for trouble.
Right. Notice of emergency numbers and addresses, that's,
That's fine.
I think we already covered that though, didn't we? It's kind of.
This says, let's see.
Kind of.
How was it
Phone number of
different?
the
It's a
hospital.
little bit different
It's
than
a little
something.
different, yeah.
I don't think it hurts to have it in there.
No,
Okay, so we can keep that then. Adequate trash receptacles, income dwellings used as structure must have a minimum of one large container.
we can combine two and. Notice of township rules and policies, 2 is about it, and then G is defining it. Okay. It was seeming redundant, but I get it now.
I'm good with G.
Yeah.
Gotta have trash receptacle.
Alright, reflective address signs, owner must post a reflective address sign on or near the mailbox of a short-term rental. Sign must meet all following requirements. The street number must be reflective, white numbers at least 3 inches in height. The sign must be mounted to a post or mailbox. The sign must be at least 5 feet above the grade of the road. The sign must be plainly visible from either directions of approach to the driveway. Sign must be adjacent to the driveway it services.
What is a driveway at service?
I guess my only, or at least my first concern there is the 5 feet since
Yeah,
all over
that's-
is, like mine's
yeah.
not 5 feet off the
No.
ground.
We can.
I mean, as long as it's visible.
Yeah, I think,
Just say
Yeah,
visible.
correct.
I think you could put that in one, street number must be in reflective, white numbers and visible. And at least 3 inches in height, so we could just strike number 3 right out of there.
Yeah.
I mean, 5 feet might have worked in the 80s when we had 5 feet of snow, but. I mean, that's the only reason why I could think why you want it so high.
A lot of them aren't that high.
No.
In fact, I bet most aren't.
I was gonna say, I think mine's at about the 2 foot mark.
I was gonna say mine's below my mailbox, so.
And then 4 is good. I don't know what a driveway at service is.
I think it's saying the sign services the driveway.
Yeah, not next to the, close enough to the driveways.
Oh, right, yeah, I was reading it, different. Yeah, I got you.
Okay, made it to C.
Good.
Got all the changes written down, Jake?
So,
Think so?
Good job, Secretary.
How much percentage you got left?
We're at
So
40,
we got
42%.
Alright.
Yeah.
Okay, good, we'll pick up there, at the next meeting.
Cool.
Okay, no new business. I'll go ahead and move on to final public comment, go ahead and open public comment. Public comment.
Did you just, wait, did you just close public comment?
Say again?
Did you just close public comment?
Yes, why, did you wanna?
I have something, sorry. So, sorry, Jill. Jamie Snyder, Cato Township. So I just want everybody in the audience to know that Monday, we're having the board meeting, correct? To address the public hearing items. So if anybody wants to come and speak, their concerns, that would be another time to come and talk to the board. I know that there's been questions about, the camping part and whether or not you have to get the permits for like tents and stuff. So that might be something that needs to be addressed too.
And again, all the comments that were made in public hearing will, are recorded and will be brought to the board for the meeting. Anyone else? Go ahead and close public comment. Next regular meeting is July 16th. Your motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion made by Quanah, is there a second?
You think that's gonna be done?
Yeah.
Second made by George.
Until Monday.
Oh, closer.
Just a hair.
Yeah.